The beat down. It's Tuesday, 11 a.m. And hey, it's time to get it started. My name is Brew. This is the Badger. What's going on, bro?
Not much, bro. You got a mean echo going on. Well, at least you
Yep,
did it during the beginning.
I sure do. I've been trying to get it sorted out.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Yeah, man.
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, man. It's an okay looking day. You know, some people call this an ugly day or a gray day, but I think it's a refreshing day. So
It's a what?
good for a refreshing day, bro. Good for some therapy.
Okay. Um, hadn't heard it like that before, but hey, who am I to say?
Yeah, every day above ground is a good day, bro. So we here for it, no matter what the weather looks like outside. So besides all that, we got a lot of good stuff to cover, man. So just I'm here.
We do. So we're gonna get this echo sorted out, and we're gonna be right back, right after the introduction. Well, that was the plan. That was the plan. Bear with me one moment. We're still trying to get some of the technical stuff ironed out here. Here we go. Oh boy. Bear with me, family. When tech stuff happens, tech stuff happens. As y'all can see, I am on location in the palace today. I'm not in the confines of the vault. So sometimes we just gotta roll with what we have. And it's not working out too well. So our goal was to get to the introduction, but it looks like, well, bro, help me fill in until I can actually pull it up.
Oh no, I thought you were about to say something of dramatic effect, but I guess we're gonna
No,
try to just talk through this thing as you try to get the introduction pulled up.
pretty much.
This happens from time to time when you have a change of venue. So I mean, it's no surprise these type of things happen. We just got to keep the show rolling, on man. We got a whole lot of people watching, so today is not. We're not gonna let today slow us down. We're gonna power right through this thing. So while he gets the intro ready, just a few things that I want to share. We got some interesting topics to cover today. A lot of stuff is gonna probably pull out some hums and hums from my partner because he tends to reside in this place that he calls his own mind, where stuff just doesn't normally make sense. Kind of like the upside down if you watch Stranger Things. It's kind of how it works for him. So hopefully we get some good entertainment for y'all out here today. As soon as we can get these technical difficulties and special defects ironed out.
I'm like that special defects. Really? That's what we're calling it. Oh boy.
Just saying, man. It's par for the course, bro.
Par for the that you have told the truth. Par for the course. So
But this is why you get paid the big bucks to work all this stuff out. You must bear
yeah,
this diet.
I don't understand why the checks won't cash, but I'm getting paid the big bucks. Um, all right. Hopefully it can locate the file now. This is crazy, but we're gonna keep pushing through. At least that's the goal. So while we're waiting on it, um, I saw your boy Dana White. Dana White, I think he owned up to the fact that he was trying to really antagonize Khabib Nurmagomedov in the coming back. That wasn't something Khabib really wanted to do, but Dana thought he could really entice him into coming back. and it bothered Dana a little to find out that when Khabib said no, Khabib meant no. He wasn't coming back. So it was interesting to listen to people and listen to Dana. Kind of, Dana really wasn't going to admit that he shot a shot and it didn't work, but he did finally admit to trying to talk him into it. And when you hear just some things that were being passed around and said, um, it was pretty interesting to see that you know Khabib was sticking to his principles. I think we might be good to go. All right, family.
Ladies and gentlemen, batten down the hatches. We'd like to introduce you to the greatest combat sports show bar none. You are now in the beatdown.
You wanna get beat down?
Let us now introduce you to your host, the Badger, and
Hey. Okay, I'm still working on that, but at least we're up and running. So hopefully we can get this other audio issue taken care of as soon as possible. Uh, bro, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right. I think we'll have to live with the echo. Hopefully it's not too bad. Is it getting better?
Yeah, just talk lower. Nah, just talk lower. You don't have to talk as loud. Your voice is naturally so it's picking up all the ambient noise. So if you just
Yep. I
talk a
don't have
little
my
lower,
nat
but other than that, we good to go.
I don't have my regular microphone with me, so that should be better.
No, it's all good. But yeah, you were going on talking about Dana White trying to go Habib out of retirement for these fights. Look, that's not even newsworthy. Who cares about that? The bigger question is where does Conor McGregor go from here? Khabib Nurmagomedov is done. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone legitimately wants to see Khabib come back because we know that the two guys that were in the ring on Saturday couldn't hold his job. So
And
let's
that's
see if
where
we
I
can
was
get Brian
going. That's
Ortega.
exactly where I was
Yeah,
going. He said, "Why
yeah.
come
Let's
back
get
when there's nobody that really is at my level?"
Yeah, so let's get Ortega, let's get Gaethje, let's get all these guys together and let that whole thing play out. But yeah, I'm just concerned where Connor goes from here. I think we're gonna get a trilogy though because it only makes sense that Connor runs it back again with Dustin Poirier for a third time. Connor's gonna sell. Poirier's gonna sell more now because he actually knocked you into, well, I guess today. So it makes more sense, I think, for that fight to happen. That's the natural move for Connor. I don't see Poirier turning that fight down because this would also be probably the biggest payday of his career. So you let Ortega get another fight in under his belt. You know, you got other couple guys, and you got Gaethje, some other guys in there. So I think the best thing for McGregor at this point is to go back and get another rematch with Poirier.
Um, that's stupid. To be honest, if I'm Dustin Poirier, I don't take I don't take a rematch with Conor anytime soon. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna clean up the rest of the division. Every time Conor comes back, except for the Cerrone fight, he usually gets a top fight. All right, so I know eventually I got to run it back with Conor, but let me go get the strap. Let me defend the strap at least once before I do this trilogy. It's not like Conor's going anywhere. Conor said he wants to fight 4 more times in 2021. So let Conor get a win or two under his belt. It's going to make the fight even bigger. It makes no sense to give him a rematch now because I decimated him. So let's let him. Yes, I know I'm saying this about Conor McGregor. Let's let him build his rep back up. He's still the biggest fighter on the planet, but let's get a couple, big wins under his belt. Let him fight Gaethje again if he needs to, or Ferguson, because Ferguson called him out. Um, Give him one of those two. Maybe both of them. Give Poirier a shot at somebody else in the top 5 or top 10. Let's let him defend his belt because he's been fighting like a warrior the past. He's fought everybody in that division. So give him another fight. Let him celebrate. Give Conor 1 or 2 more fights. Then it's like, okay, Conor's on a win streak. Poirier's got the title. Now it's time for the rubber match. It's gonna be a bigger draw. You're gonna get more than just the loyal Conor fans. You're gonna get the casual fans because, oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. Remind me to get into the big announcement the WWE made. That's kind of, I think it benefits the UFC a little bit in the long run, but because ESPN Plus is expanding, it's going to catch more fans. And with that, if you got Conor on a win streak, instead of coming off a devastating defeat, you're going to get more of that casual pay-per-view money. So I definitely wouldn't say run it back right now. Give him a fighter, maybe number 4, number 6, number 7 rank. And then let Conor fight Gaethje again. Let Conor fight Ferguson, because Ferguson wants him. And see where they go from there. Because Khabib made it clear finally, and Dana made the statement, Khabib is not holding up the division. He's not holding the belt. I'm the one that held him in that spot, hoping that I could get him to come back. And I was wondering why he had already set this meeting with Khabib for Fight Island. Like, why would Khabib come to Fight Island if he wasn't interested? But then we found out his younger brother Umar was fighting on Fight Island. So Dana dangled a carrot, put Umar on the Fight Island card, and it backfired.
I guess. I don't know. We agree to disagree about the whole Conor Poirier trilogy, but I guess it'll happen at some point. Hopefully, they both won't be beaten up and out of their primes when it does, according to your theory. You talk about running Conor McGregor in there with Tony Ferguson or Justin Gaethje, and those are the guys. Well, then no, he should probably fight the guy that's knocked him out again, because all those guys are in the same pool. None of those guys necessarily head and shoulders above the rest, which is why none of them had the belt, because Khabib had it. So he's retired, so there's going to be a fight for the interim belt. Why not make that fight the winner of the McGregor-Poirier trilogy against the winner of Gaethje Ferguson, who we're not going to see that again, obviously, because that was a bloodletting there. So I don't know where it goes, but we'll agree to disagree on that.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you this, though. Did you hear about any, or did you watch any of the Showtime card from last Saturday?
No, I did not.
Okay, so I guess we won't be able to discuss that too much.
Well, who was fighting?
Stephen Fulton fought Angelo Leo for the belt.
Oh, snap.
And then on the undercard, you had Rolly Romero, a Mayweather fighter, fighting a short notice Avery Sparrow, who's a pretty decent fighter out of Philly. That was a good fight. And in the middle fight, you had, I can't remember the young man's name, from Muskegon, Michigan. He's looking to be the first world champ from there. He had a fight. That was a good fight. The guy he beat was a standout amateur and had, he's a pretty good pro. Didn't quite live up to expectations, but 3 really good fights. You should probably go back and watch them if you get a chance. That Stephen Fulton Angelo Leo fight was great. All 3 fights were great. None of them disappointed. All of them were action fights. Showtime really did themselves justice with this card. Shouts out to the PBC and everybody involved, because again, they kind of did a play out of the UFC book where not really a bunch of big names that you would know. You got a title fight with a smaller weight class, and he had 2 other fights that if you're not a real boxing fan, you probably wouldn't have picked up on. But it was a good card, man. On all 3 fights were very competitive, and I
wasn't in a position where I could actually see that fight. Had I even, I did have it marked. I wasn't in a place where I could see it. But I'm glad you did, and I'm sure our viewers, are appreciative that you could fill them in on what happened.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Rolly Romero ended up stopping every Sparrow. He took the fight on a week notice, I think, or something like that. He twisted his knee or something happened, compromised his balance. I thought Rolly was going to win the fight anyway. He appeared to just be the naturally bigger, stronger guy. In the Avery's corner threw in the towel, I think, in round 7 or 8, somewhere up in there. The middle fight with the two young men names that I can't remember, that was a great fight. And the kid that actually won, I think he has a secondary belt for the WBO. So he was
Okay.
actually watching the Leo Stephen Fulton fight with interest because those guys are fighting for the primary belt there.
Okay.
So, but he used a little bit of karate style foot movement, a la Chris Algieri, with his kickboxing, something a little different. But this kid is super twitchy, athletic, and he punches pretty hard. So, not sure we'll see him against Fulton anytime soon. But those are just some good fights. And of course, the Fulton Leo fight was dope. I think Fulton and Leo set a CompuBox record for punches thrown.
Wow.
Um, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, in a 12-round fight. And at one point, it just was the inside fighting by both guys was beautiful. Leo was pressuring, but the angles that Fulton was using, I mean, just it was a great showcase of boxing skill and excitement. Even a casual that don't really know what they're looking at would have loved to watch any of those fights because they were fighting, man. It's good.
Let me ask you a question on that. On CompuBox. There are a couple schools of thought on CompuBox. My question to you is, when you have some fighters that don't throw high volumes of punches but are very efficient with their punches. They're power punchers, they're pinpoint punchers, but they don't throw a high volume. Do you think they get penalized sometimes from CompuBox for those that, like the judges who, because of CompuBox start looking at the output? Now we know the judges don't have access to CompuBox, to my knowledge, throughout the fight to see the number of punches, or I guess sometimes maybe they do. I was always under the impression that they don't have access to those numbers during the fight, but they do start looking at the volume of punches thrown. Do you think those punchers that are more efficient with their punches get penalized because of the process called CompuBox?
Eh, hmm. No, I think he's just having competent judges. I don't think nobody ever had a problem with giving Floyd Mayweather credit for the work he did. He was never a volume puncher. So it just kind of depends on, how good you are and how easy you make it look. And there's some things that are called being out hustled or being outworked, a la Sean Porter. Never really a very accurate puncher, but sometimes you just get overwhelmed and consumed. So it just depends. But we've seen judges make a mockery of worse things. So no, I don't think that you get slighted for not throwing enough or being a busy fighter is someone that may be a natural counterpuncher. But I think that if you are savvy enough, if you're good enough, then I think you'll be fine.
All right. Well, before I forget, and I know we're going to get back to boxing, but the WWE made two startling announcements this past week, and they did it on social media and through the press. They really didn't do it on their show. And one of them, you can kind of understand why, because they weren't going to have time to really explain exactly what was going on. The WWE has decided that they are selling, and they actually have sold their network to Peacock, the NBC's network, NBC's online streaming service. So WWE members, people who have purchased the WWE network, will be absorbed into the Peacock streaming service, I think at the end of March. And if you buy it through Peacock, you're going to pay half as much as you were paying through the WWE. This is part of a $1 billion deal that the WWE is doing with Peacock, as well as their pay per view events will now be covered on ESPN Plus, which I thought was interesting because ESPN is owned by Disney, who owns who else? ABC, not NBC. So for WWE now to make close to $2 billion on these two deals over the next 5 years. They're going to be carrying their pay per views on ESPN Plus, But also the WWE Network will be on Peacock, which is interesting business because usually if you pay the $8.99 or $8.95 per month for the WWE Network, you get all the pay-per-views for free within that purchase price, as well as Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and all the original programming that the WWE has. I think this is interesting because, from what it sounds like legally, you're no longer going to get the pay per views at the $4.95 rate through Peacock. You'll just get their shows, Raw, SmackDown, which you can get free anyway. But you can get that, and NXT, which you can get free anyway on your cable subscriber, and the WWE original programming. So really, you're just getting the WWE original programming, the shows that they have beyond the wrestling events. I'm not sure if you still get the pay per views on there. And I know the first pay per view that looks like it's going to come through ESPN Plus is going to be WrestleMania. So to me, that's pretty big news because ESPN Plus is also the home of UFC. So now you're getting advertising for the WWE on NBC networks and their Peacock streaming service. You're going to get advertising for WWE on ESPN Plus, and I'm wondering just how close you're going to get with the UFC and WWE as far as exchanging advertising, because they've always had a close relationship behind the scenes with fighters going back and forth, going from the WWE to UFC or vice versa. I mean, as far back as Ken Shamrock, Dan Severinsen, um, Steve Blackman, and then going in the other way, Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, CM Punk. And when they go from the WWE to the UFC, they don't have to go through the feeder organizations. They don't have to have amateur MMA fights. They just go right into the UFC. So there's been a relationship there for about, I want to say about 15, 20, about at least 20 years. So it seems like this may have been a relationship for WWE to do their pay-per-views through ESPN Plus, possibly facilitated or the aiding and facilitation by the UFC, which is, I think, is a pretty incredible partnership the way they've been doing it over the past at least 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, all that sounds good. I just hope that it sounds like WWE is playing the long game. I'm hoping they'll be able to get fans back in the stands because if they were bought out for $2 million, I don't think they get any of that streaming revenue. So we'll see how this works. But
Yes, they do.
hey,
That's the
okay,
strange part. That
okay.
that's the strange. And here's the thing: Peacock is almost like leasing. They said they sold it, but when they explain the origins of the deal, in the details, it's like the WWE is still getting revenue from the streams. It's just Peacock is getting the bulk of it. And mind you, wrestling fans are loyal. So they'll get fans in the stands. I mean, if you look, if have you taken the time to look at a Raw or SmackDown event since I told you about the Thunderdome?
No.
Okay, every week they got cameras set up where the seats used to be, and now they're at Tropicana Field instead of over in Orlando. So they're in a bigger facility, and fans are, I don't know if they're paying to get in, but fans have their faces on the screens all around the Thunderdome. It's a pretty amazing setup. Really look at it. But WrestleMania is going to be in Raymond James Stadium, and they're already, before they actually put their tickets on sale, there are enough people on the waiting list to sell out Raymond James Stadium, even though I think Florida is only going to permit them to have 25,000 people in the stands. But that's 25,000 people per night over a 2-night event this year. So WWE is one of those companies, they don't have to worry about getting people in the stands. And they've changed their programming on Raw. Vince McMahon is finally turning it over to Paul Levesque, who a lot of people know as Triple H, and because Raw's ratings have fallen. So it's not that the talent's not there. Most insiders say that it's just become too gimmicky. Last bit of wrestling news: AEW is doing a partnership with, they've been doing a partnership with Impact Wrestling, which used to be called TNA, Impact Wrestling. Um, and it's working out really for both of them because they're doing cross branding. A lot of people who have left the WWE went back to TNA, those that didn't go to AEW, and now they're doing a lot of cross promotions, bringing like Gallows and Anderson. If people remember them from, most people who have watched wrestling know them from WWE or the independent circuit. But they went to TNA instead of coming to AEW, which worked out because they helped build TNA up, and they're doing some cross promotion with AEW and vice versa. Kenny Omega, who really built his name on the independent circuit, and Ring of Honor, as well as New Japan. I mean, he's one of the few Americans to help sell out and main event the Tokyo Dome with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's been in AEW, and now he's doing cross promotions with TNA without having to leave the AEW roster or drop the title that he has over there. So just a little bit of wrestling news for you, sports entertainment, combat sports entertainment heads out there. Just trying to keep y'all filled in.
Yeah, no, that was cool, man. I just, my only question would be, I don't think any sporting leagues have problems getting fans in the stands. I think everybody's thirsty to get back to what we thought would be normal. I just don't know if that's ever going to be the case, and I don't think the WWE or the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, or the NHL, or any of them are immune to this. Nobody wants a third-year stadium full. That's better than nothing, but nobody wants 20,000 people in the stands. I can get 70. So that's kind of the give. That's kind of the give and take of that all these leagues are going through. But something's better than nothing. And as you can see, the fewer tickets, guess what? That means they're going to charge more. So,
and you're seeing that with the cost of the Super Bowl tickets. I'm hearing different pricing out there, so I'm not going to really mention numbers for what I'm hearing because I'm hearing such a wide variety of pricing that they are. And oh, we didn't mention the NFL gave 7,500 tickets away to sorry, to first responders, and they gave the first batch away to nurses and doctors at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. But the prices for the other tickets are astronomical from what I'm hearing. As soon as I can nail down some actual quotes and compare sources, I'll release those numbers on the show. But I'm just looking at the way wrestling is moving, and I'm sure boxing's moving the same way. These people who own these venues lose money every day these venues are empty. So they're not able to charge what they were able to charge when you can get all the people in the stands. So it's kind of working out for the promoters, because if the promoters are like, look, I can only get a third in here, so you got to reduce your price for the venue to half, if not a third, of what you were charging if we want to get anybody in here at all. So at least you can pay for your lights to stay on. And just case in point, it costs $27,000 a day to run AT&T Stadium when there's no events going on. So you could imagine when somebody comes to Jerry and they're like, hey, we'd like to hold an event in here, and I know we can only get 15 or 20,000 people, then Jerry's like, let's deal. So it costs a lot of money just to have these events sitting there and keep the air circulating and the lights on, so they'll work when the event comes up.
Yeah, nobody wants to stop breaking the bread, but I will tell you this: that's why ATT got their name plastered all over the building, because they're absorbing a lot of that price. So let's not be fooled. Jerry ain't going broke because ain't nobody in there, because AT&T is kicking that bill. So as we segue into some other stuff, man. So what do you think about Ryan Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao? How you feel about that?
Next.
Well, word on the street is that fight is going to happen, but it may be an exhibition fight, which is so weird. And if you're Ryan Garcia, I'm trying to figure out why. Because you're the very same. I mean, all these fights become hypocritical at some point, once they get to a certain socioeconomic status, once they get that first big check, then everything kind of becomes about the money, becomes about the business of the sport. I get it, I understand. But not an exhibition match. I don't think Ryan Garcia should be allowed to fight Manny Pacquiao in an exhibition match. Now I'm being a little bit overreaching when I say allowed, or he can do whatever he wants. But that's just weird, right? You fight Manny Pacquiao in an exhibition match. And more importantly, it's also weird for Manny Pacquiao because we've never really seen Manny as somebody that was doing things to grab money per se, but it definitely screams money grab for both of these guys. What's your thoughts?
All right, since I have to commentate on that, I think it's BS, plain and simple. Um, you've got people out there who want a shot at Pacquiao's title, and
And Garcia.
Pacquiao, huh? And Ryan Garcia, right?
Yeah.
But Pacquiao won because you have how many people in that division who really want a shot at Pacquiao's title, and Pacquiao says that he only has 1 or 2 fights left. So why would you use one of those up in an exhibition? Because you want the money, but you don't want anything on the line. It's not going to hurt Ryan Garcia if he loses to Pacquiao. It's not going to hurt Ryan. Ryan's young. His title is not going to be up anyway because Pacquiao's not going to make that weight. So he has everything to gain because if he beats Pacquiao, that just pads his record, exhibition or not. But if he loses, it was an exhibition. So in Pacquiao, it just puts money in his pocket. If he loses, oh well, it's an exhibition. If he wins, no skin off his back. It does. It's just money, and I think it's foul that they would let this happen without making Pacquiao put his title up. For some, he's been just sitting on it, bro, just sitting on it. And you got Earl Spence out there, you got Terrence Crawford out there, you got Keith Thurman out there. Keith Thurman should get a rematch, but we've already gone round robin about this on the show. So even if he doesn't get one, you've got all these other people out here who deserve a shot at that title that you're just sitting on. Oh, I heard from a trusted source that the ticket range from, and thank you for chiming in, the ticket range for Super Bowl tickets now are between $11,000 and $75,000 a ticket.
Yeah, the number that I saw was about 20K. But to your point, I agree. But listen, I feel the same way about Ryan Garcia, only in the sense that you made it public. You went to social media on a few different occasions and talked about how bad you wanted Tank Davis and how Devin Haney's not a real champ, and you know that you want Teofimo Lopez, and that hey, if Loma is, you know, if he wants to come up to 140, I'll take him too. You've almost become almost a troll in the sense of trying to talk you into these fights that you supposedly want. And at the first turn, you take a exhibition with Manny Pacquiao.
Mm-hmm.
You just beat Luke Campbell, who is no slouch, after being put on your butt. So why not ride this momentum and continue to build your legacy instead of taking a detour for an exhibition against Manny Pacquiao? It's just kind of strange. And by the way, Ryan Garcia does not need the cachet, right? Granted, he may not be globally famous as Manny Pacquiao, but he's a big enough star in Latin America, United States, where it's not like he needs someone to help him carry a fight.
Okay.
So none of this really makes sense.
Okay. Even when you look at Canelo's resume, you always look back and see the people he beat, right? So when Ryan Garcia gets a few more years under his belt, when people start looking at Ryan Garcia and trying to, you know, talk about his validity and his legacy, if he has a Manny Pacquiao on there, don't matter how old Manny was at the time, all Ryan Garcia fans want to know is he beat Manny Pacquiao or he fought Manny Pacquiao in an exhibition. Then just Pacquiao on your resume looks good. And Garcia is not trying to build his brand anymore in Latin America. He's trying to build his brand worldwide. I mean, he's already built his brand in Latin America. He's trying to build his brand worldwide. And I think it's a chump move, but it's just like a lot of champions when they fight people who really they don't need to fight. They're just trying to put names on their resume. That's it.
I just find the whole thing a bit weird and kind of.
It is weird. Right? It is weird.
Or maybe it's just a ploy to get us talking about both of them. Who knows? Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not a real thing. Maybe they just kind of trying to figure out something on the back end from a promotional perspective. I don't know, but I'll be interested to see what happens with
I
that.
like that point of view. I actually like that point of view because it
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense more than the fight. That hey, if we put this out here, people like us are gonna be talking about it, and it keeps our name out there in the media, and that's one less fight we have to make right away.
Indeed. So, just to do a little temperature check for you, how do you feel about the comments made by Jamar Cholo in regards to your blood brother Deontay Wilder? I know you saw that.
Somebody told me about it. I did not see the actual comments, but somebody reached out to me on social media and asked me a similar question that you did, but I did not get to see the comment. So what was actually said?
Oh, he just pretty much bluntly said on his IG live that Fury didn't cheat. He just beat Wilder's ass.
That's his opinion.
It is what it is. So
That's
now
what
I'm
you
interested to
said.
see. So now I'm interested to see if you and all the people that are on Team Wilder, we gonna burn Jamal Charlotte at the stake now, or is he out of the culture because he spoke out and not
No,
in favor of Deontay Wilder?
I've never subscribed to the cancel culture,
Okay.
which now it's funny because the Trump Republicans now have their own cancel culture, even though they talk bad about it when we did it. Um, but realistically, no. I
Hmm.
mean, that's just Charlo's opinion, bro. He's always
Okay.
been opinionated. I still hold to my opinion that Fury did cheat, and not just going by what I think, by hearing people who were involved, whether they were in his sparring sessions or, they knew people who were in his camp or they were in his camp. That's what I'm going off of. But Charlo, and this is Jermel, right?
No, Jamal,
Oh,
Big Charles.
Jamal. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe Jamal is reaching out to people. I've heard it from people who, are insiders as well who said, man, he ain't cheat. Okay, that's his opinion. I'm not gonna try to cancel Charlo for his opinion.
But that is an interesting take though, because you do know that some people, right, especially in new media, who didn't speak in favor of Wilder, they were called coons, and that they was shucking and jiving, and that they ain't a part of the culture, and they don't want to see black men prosper. A lot of that narrative was going on early on after that loss. So I was just trying to figure out for someone that the culture's actually embraced, like the Charlo twins, would there be any backlash for his comments about the King Wilder? So I'm just curious. I just
It
want to see, but.
depends on how widely publicized his comments go, but I think he's built. I hate to use the term street cred, but I think he has enough of that in his cachet to where they're not going to cancel him for saying it or talk about canceling him for saying it. They might look at him sideways, but the Charlo brothers have a unique position in the culture. They came up, they are of the hip hop generation. They are respected by a lot of the entertainers in hip hop. Matter of fact, I mean, we all know they are under Jay Prince. Are they still under Jay Prince?
No, I don't think they're ever under Jay Prince, but they are Houston. They're from Houston,
They
so of course,
were
that's
originally.
just
At one point they were under Jay Prince's management.
was that very early on in their career?
That was
Because they've been
when
they've been with
Silky
BBC since.
when Silky fought them for Jamal. They were under Jay Prince's management.
Oh, I never knew that. Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, and the reason why I know that is when I actually talked to Silky about it, about the fight itself. He had mentioned that, and somebody else who was in his group, his camp, mentioned that. Um, so yeah, it's. I mean, they're ingrained in that hip hop culture. I mean, it's like when you think of Houston now, Ghetto Boys, H Town, Low Flip, you got the Charlo brothers. They're in that culture.
All right. Interesting take. So
And no
you
response.
haven't talked. you haven't talked about this fight, and we got it coming up this weekend. Caleb Truax against your boy Caleb Plant.
Caleb Plant, baby. Caleb Plant, baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that's probably when you should have played the sound drop "I Got Soul" because I mean he is considered to be the most fairest complected brother on the PBC roster. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, but I met Caleb Plant and got to talk to him in person. I like him and his dad and his trainer. Some good down home country folks.
Listen, Caleb Plant embodies everything that I used to say that I disliked about, and I hope he knows I mean this with love, but everything I used to say that I disliked about interracial marriage and relationships. Have y'all seen Jordan Plant? Jordan Plant is bad. I mean, bad. And I used to always say, man, when the Caucasian ethnicity comes over here, when the Caucasian male comes to get a black female, they get the baddest one out the plane. They don't settle for the first one they see or just grab one sitting on a park bench. They actually go get the baddest one in the room. But unfortunately, for most black males, we just, oh look, a white woman. Just go grab one. It doesn't matter what she looks like. Just go grab. She's a white woman. So shout out to Caleb Plant because you really, really bolstered my theory. You rarely ever see a white male with an ugly black female. You just don't see it. You don't. If you do, please send me a picture. I'll put it on the show. I mean, unless his house has wheels on it, then you might. But for one who's upwardly mobile, But a brother, yeah, you white, come here. I don't understand it. I've never understood it, but I'm gonna let that go. Your opinion?
Yeah. No. I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you on that. We are not doing that. I'm here to talk about the fight. Listen, I think this is going to be a good fight, only because I think that Caleb Truax is going to bring his lunch pail. He's one of those guys that just show up to fight. It may not look pretty. It may be rugged. He may even get out class. He's going to be at a fight until he can't fight anymore. This is a tune-up for Caleb Plant. That's a respectable opponent. He can't go in there messing around. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's a difference in skill over here in this fight. Well, I'm gonna be tuned in to watch it. Also, the undercard heavyweights, Coffee against is it not Rockman Jr. Was it? No, the young kid, the young heavyweight prospect. Okay, give me a second. I got to pull it up on the phone now. But remember, Michael Coffey is the Marine vet. Remember that? Mm-hmm. The older guy. I think he's about mid-30s now. He got into boxing pretty late. Yeah, and he has a military background. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that, man. I got into a little, not even a dispute. Eddie Chambers, the great Eddie Chambers, made a post last week about the fight. He said he's ready to see Damani Rock, that's who it is. He said he's waiting to see Damani Rock against Michael Coffey. And I just simply said, hey, me too, champ. I really like Coffey, man. He got into the game. That military guy should be a great fight. Champ was like, no, Damani Rock.
Now,
question. I was like, okay, champ.
Is Coffey related to the same Coffey that was on the Green Mile?
Stop, bro. Relax.
John Coffey.
You got to chill, bro. You got to chill. I don't know. He may be, but you got to chill, bro. But bro, going on now. You talking about him like that? You got to relax, bro. Hey, we getting closer up against it. I want to run through a couple of things with you right quick. Your homie's back from the dead. He's going to be fighting Jake Paul. What's your thoughts on that? Ben Askren, by the way, if you know who your homie was.
Who?
Ben Askren.
He's not my homie. Get him. But he will beat Jake Paul.
Ben Askren probably is the worst striker I've ever seen in the UFC. You think he go with Jake Paul, man?
It doesn't matter. Oh, wait a minute. This is just a boxing match?
Yeah. It's just, Jake Paul against Ben Askren.
I think he'll beat Jake Paul, honestly, because even the worst striker has striking in there. They practice as part of their training. They do practice striking. And Ben Askren is just an outstanding athlete because he should have been dead in that Robbie Lawler fight. He's just an outstanding, and not
Yeah.
for a well placed knee. Who knows what would happen against your boy, Cuban Street Jesus?
Hey.
And I hate using that name. Um, we'll call him Cuban Street Thug. He but yeah, I mean Ben Askren is just—he's an outstanding athlete, bro. I mean, he's a world
Mhm.
class wrestler, and
Yeah,
I do
indeed.
believe in this fight with Jake Paul, who is just learning to box. People they think because of the fight with Nate Robinson, no, he's just learning to box, and you don't learn in these exhibitions. You know, you learn
Yeah,
by
you learn in the gym where he
right.
spends a lot of his time training against high level pros. I'm not discounting Ben Askren, but I'm not gonna make it seem like Jake Paul is a completely clueless guy off the
Oh
street.
no, no, no! I
This is
didn't
gonna
say
be
no. I didn't say that.
this is gonna be a better fight than you think, my friend. So we'll talk about this as this fight draws nearer because
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have to place a friendly wage on this. Me and you.
Okay, so you know what? We will have to place a friendly wager on this.
Yeah, it can be something creative, you know what I'm saying? But I want because I think you're giving Ben a lot of credit, and that's because you deep down you're a wrestling guy, and I know that lies deep within your soul. But I don't know, bro.
No, and I
Ben,
tell you, I'm not a Ben Askren fan because I think he spends too much time on social media and not enough time in the cage. And I've said that on this show. I'm not a Ben Askren fan, but I'm not going to take away from his ability and from what I've seen. Now, do I think Jake Paul will be a pushover? No, because he does train. So I think it'll be a good fight. I'm just not going to diminish the athleticism that Ben Askren naturally has over Jake Paul. And I believe if Ben Askren is taking this seriously, he'll understand you got to keep your hands up because your best offense can be a good defense against somebody who's a novice.
spoken like a true connoisseur of combat sports, bro. Tom Brady is 3-1 in playoff games where he's thrown 3 interceptions. What are we witnessing right now, bro? This man has thrown 3+ interceptions in 4 playoff games, and he wins almost all of them.
But this is the only time that he's ever done it in the fourth quarter, or in the second half, rather. He threw all 3 interceptions in the second half. Should have been 5 interceptions when you go back and look. But he threw 3. It's because he has a good defense.
And
And
guess what? And he has the complexion for the protection.
yeah,
Y'all better bet with Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl, man. This is a match made in heaven, and it's a storybook ending for one of these guys, and it might be Tom Brady. I'm about to place a bet on that, bro.
honestly, I think the Packers should really take a second look at Matt LaFleur. Because how are you
Yeah,
down there and you're fourth and goal with 2 minutes and some
Matt
change left and you kick a field goal?
Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers both need to do some real soul searching this weekend. They may need to take a brother's trip and try to get this thing worked out because they both bore equal responsibility for that fiasco on Sunday. Aaron Rodgers had several opportunities to run the ball in,
Yes, he
and he
did.
didn't. And he's known for being a threat. A lot of stuff went wrong in that game. We ain't got time to talk about it, nor do I care because the Super Bowl is already set. Last thing, bro. Are you partial to the Buccaneers coaching staff because they all are negative?
No, because they coach for the Buccaneers. Um,
You a hater. You
no, I'm
such a
not.
hater.
I
And I
listen.
and I didn't mean that disrespectfully. They're not all black. They have women on the coaching staff as
Right.
well. And I want to say someone of Middle Eastern descent. I was being jokingly when I said negro, but no, for real. You don't care
Listen.
about that?
It's a historic
Do
time.
you care
It's yes.
about the black bus
I
truck?
care
You
about
care.
those black
Okay.
coaches, yes,
Okay.
because
Okay.
but let's really talk about it because
All
you have a
coaches
black
matter.
offensive coordinator, you have a black defensive coordinator, you got a black assistant head coach, and a black
Hey,
special teams coach. All
indeed.
3 phases plus the assistant head coach are African Americans. I get that, and you have a women's strength coach who's been there since Bruce Arians has been there. So, and I don't think she's either Hispanic or Caucasian, but the fact that he's given a woman a position like that, and you know typically that's the old dude with the snot coming out of his nose. All right, get up under the squat rack. But no, he's actually progressed, and he had a lot of minorities on his staff in Arizona.
And they doing
Um,
their thing because them boys flying around the football. They look in shape. They definitely look in shape.
yeah, I mean, look, gender does not make you a good coach, and that's finally what some people are understanding. Gender never made you a great coach. Ethnicity never made you a great coach. That was the first misnomer. So,
It's just so it be your own people. 'Cause I'm trying to figure out how we had all these brothers on this coaching staff, and for whatever reason we just couldn't get it right with Jameis. But Tom come in and make a meme, put some gold teeth on him, give him some dreads or some wicks, and now
well, you know,
Tom is integrated into the culture. This is interesting.
you know my answer to that. My answer to that is when Tom Brady came, you opened up the checkbook and went shopping, and you brought people around him. You brought
Okay,
some
all
offensive
right,
around him. You got
okay,
some other
all right,
receivers. You got some other
all right,
running backs. Yes,
okay,
sir. That's a
all right.
fact. That's a
Yep.
fact.
Well, enough of that. So we
Now,
up against the
I'm sorry. You're
road.
trying to
What we
appease
got?
your Buccaneer fans. My bad. Is she still there?
I just,
Is she
listen,
still there?
I just don't care, bro. I'm not a butt guy. I just
is,
find listen.
is she
I
still
find
there?
it interesting that
Is
you
she
say that
wrapped up
because
in a
a lot
Buccaneer
of people say
blanket?
that.
Is she still there? That's what I need to know. And if you want to sweeten the pot on the bet with Caleb, was Jake Paul and Ben Askren? I know how we can really sweeten the bet. A gallon of moonshine.
No,
No. I will buy you a gallon of moonshine versus dinner and an evening on the auction for you. Really?
no, man. I knew you was already going somewhere with that.
Okay,
We ain't going down that road.
or
We
a
ain't going
gallon
that
of
road.
moonshine versus you agreeing to fight Amanda Nunes.
I ain't going. Listen, and I told you I don't drink anymore. I only consume the cabbage. You got to keep this thing strictly on how we do things on this show, bro. Before we get out here, what you got?
The cabbage, huh? I could probably help you out with that, even though I don't mess with it. Hey, Miss Darlene, that is a fact. I forgot she's a Bucks fan too. I got to stay on her good side. I got to go back to her house and get my bike.
Miss
Um,
Darlene, I'm rocking with you too, but I just like to stir the pot a little bit. That's all.
yes, he does. um, Listen, there was this couple, and they just got married. Now they were poor, but they were in love. So they didn't have enough for a honeymoon, and she actually saved herself for marriage. She met him living in a homeless shelter. He got a job, but they didn't have enough to get out of the shelter. So when they got married and her mother found out about it, her mother said, "You all can come stay with me. I've made my basement into an apartment, so you can come stay in my basement, have your honeymoon down there. I'll decorate it for you, and and it'll give you a start to your marriage." So they were so thankful. They went and got married. When they got back, she had the basement decorated with flowers and balloons and just got married sign. And they went down there and they closed the door and he took off his shirt and he had enough hair on his back. It looked like she could comb it and plait it and braid it. So she freaks out and she runs upstairs. And her mom's like, "What are you doing back up here?" She said, "Mom, this man's got so much hair on his back, you can get lost in it." She said, "Baby, you married him, you love him, go downstairs, you handle that. That's just part of your marriage. Now go have a good time." So she goes back downstairs and she puts on her negligee and he, by this time, he has taken off his undershirt and she saw he had more hair on his chest than he had on his back. So she runs back upstairs. And she's like, "Mom!" She's like, "What's wrong?" She said, "He got more hair on his chest than he had on his back." And Mom said, "Well, that's just something for you to hold on to. You're married now. You go downstairs. You handle that. Take care of that. You're married now. Go have a good time." So she goes back downstairs. And by this time, he's taken off his shoes and socks. And he's got 5 toes on one foot and 2.5 toes on the other foot. So she freaks out again, runs upstairs. Her mom's like, "What are you doing up here now?" She goes, "Mom, he's got 1.5 feet." Her mom said, "Well, you stay up here and Mama will go handle that."
You know, usually before you do these things, I try to kind of put myself in a state of mind or a mind frame where I'm like, I'm just gonna be open to whatever he says because this is part of the show. This is what gives the show culture. Sometimes, bro, you just probably should keep some stuff to yourself, bro. Like But listen, Mama knows best. So with that being said, man, give you shout outs so we can get up out of here, man.
Look, I gotta give a shout out to my mom, to my wife, to my daughter. Thank you, Miss Darlene. Shout out to you too. She thought that was funny. See, that's why we get along. Mama gonna handle that. Shout out to my daughter. Shout out to Pops, the Red Belly, and Mr. Arlene, and the rest of. We had a good number of people tune in to watch this show today. So we thank you all for dealing with the technical difficulties and hanging in there with us. And look, we'll be back again tomorrow. But I'll let him tell you about what kind of show is on tomorrow.
Hey man, we appreciate everybody for rocking with us, man. My boy gave all y'all shout outs and love, all that good stuff. Make sure y'all tune in with us tomorrow on our more refined show where he doesn't tell these kind of terrible jokes. Speaking of that, man, Robert Kraft's sex tape has just disappeared thanks to a federal judge in Florida. Too bad all my amateur porn is out there somewhere on the internet and I ain't getting no money for it. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 on our more refined show. We'll see y'all. Peace.
Isn't that the owner of the Patriots?
Fight the Nation, we out here. Peace.
Oh, Lord. I hope they don't find your sex tape, Badger.